What's poppin', what's poppin', what's poppin'? Welcome to Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. Sup, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And look, you heard we had Carl. You heard we had CJ. If you didn't go back to those two, before you even talk about this one, right?
Yeah, before this one.
Before this one. But we have the man himself, the number one motivational speaker. Google him if you want to. The one, the only, E.T., the hip-hop preacher, Eric Thomas.
Hey.
Hey, Moose.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Moose.
Hey, Moose, you know I don't like to go here, but
Wait, E, wait, E. Wait, you're not there yet. You're not.
my bad.
He's talking. He did the same thing CJ did. He talked from behind the stage.
Wait,
he said,
wait.
"Hey, cut my mic on. I'm ready."
Moose. First words. What'd you think about my man?
Life-changing, man. I mean, my whole life story is composed. A big part of it is because of this man. So, yeah, life-changing. I'll keep it short.
All right, let's get into this intro.
Two kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
Now, before we get into E, you already know we got to do the review of the week. This one's done by Cassandra. I really hope I don't mess up these names, but I think that's right.
This one's good.
I'm good? Hey,
Yeah,
I'm
Cassandra.
good.
There we go.
So this one says, wow, just wow. This has got to be my absolute favorite episode thus far. I felt like Carl was talking directly to me because this is my life. I've already listened to this episode a couple of times. I so needed this. I need to move my mass.
Move the mass.
Shout out
I love
to
that part. Move the mass.
Yo, I didn't even know what he meant by that, but it was deep. But let's get into, you see him if you're on YouTube. Shout out to all our YouTube viewers. But if not, you're about to hear E.T., the hip-hop preacher, Eric Thomas.
Hey,
What's up, E?
the mighty
What
doctor.
What up? Hey, I don't remember what gig it was, but I was doing a gig recently, and the young lady who was doing the intro, she said something that was, empowering. She said, "You're not the number one motivational speaker in the world. You are the undisputed number one motivational speaker in the world." I was like,
No
"Oh,
competition.
Hey,
Yeah.
You hear the bomb.
I'm
You
into
hear the
words
bomb.
now. Yeah, I'm into words now, and words are meaningful, bro. And I think, you've been talking about it, Moose, for some time now. How we don't use words properly. Like what the intent of the word. Like most of us, I'm just gonna be real. A lot of the words that I learned, I didn't learn them through the dictionary. A lot of the words that I learned secondhand. I learned hearing them from people. So I'll be honest, I never really went to the dictionary or to the source. And you know what I'm saying? Like really got the root of the word, the definition of the word, and words have different meanings. But so I've been on this journey of, you need to be very careful of the words that you use, the words that you let in, and so that was a word. It wasn't even about competition for me, but it was about, really embracing my calling. It's like, you are the undisputed, you know what I'm saying, heavyweight champion in the world. It doesn't mean that, other people who speak don't speak whatever, but it's just saying in my space, in my world, I don't have to belittle myself, or I don't have to play small. I don't have to play small so that other people don't feel. No, it's like, let your light shine, bro. And if anything, it's going to empower other people. So when she said it, I'm not going to lie. The way she said it, maybe it's what she said and how she said it. When she said, "You're the undisputed," I was like, that's an adjective that describes, not just my calling, but how potent, my calling is and what it meant to her. Because she said it, I didn't say it. She said it. So,
Wow.
so yeah, man. Good morning to the two of you. How you guys doing?
Amazing,
Good,
amazing.
good, good.
First, wait. Before we get into it, I think the first question, Moose, I know you wanted to go, but what time do you go to sleep?
Man, it's crazy now, y'all. Like, so I'm gonna answer it in two ways. So I'm gonna answer it, the first 30 years of my career, 9:15, 9:30, no later than 10. I'm in a different space now, you know what I'm saying? I'm in retirement mode. I still probably work as hard as most humans do. But I probably don't go to bed now to about 10:30, 11. But back in my heyday, about 9:15, 9:30, you know what I'm saying, every day, probably except for maybe Saturday night. I might stay up a little later, but during my heyday, 9:15, 9:30 was my go-to.
Yeah, sorry, Moose. I know you had the whole setup, but that was
Hey,
one of the most requested answers till this day. Like, I still read the comments on some, when do you go to sleep? You wake up at 3.
But do
You
you
post
ever
at
sleep?
3.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, not
yeah.
no more moves. Now I don't. Now it's like, now I don't. I'll probably get about 3, 4 easy. You know what I'm saying? But in my
Wow.
heydays, I needed about 6.
Facts.
A different breed. A different breed
Yeah,
indeed.
no doubt.
Good
No doubt.
stuff. Doc, it's obviously we're on the verge of a new year, right? We're
Yeah,
preparing for a new year.
yeah.
And a large majority of the people know who E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher is today. What I want you to kind of start in our first question is talk to us about that first moment of embracing the call, right? Discovering the purpose or this vision. Like, what was that like? Like, where was the starting point for Eric Thomas?
I think I think we have to look at 2 destinations, One, I was on campus doing a ministry called the Bell Tower Ministries. And just being real with you, Moose, most people don't know this, but I didn't start as a speaker. I started almost like what would be considered an event coordinator. You had 2 other guys that was, man, extremely gifted as speakers. Irvin Daphnis, we call him Black, and Trey Hayden, we call him Trey. I was kind of like the third wheel, if you will. And so my responsibility was, I was the hype man, knock on the dorms. I would go to the different dorms, cafeteria, and just let people know about the Bell Tower because it was a new ministry we started on campus. And we really started it as an alternative to like the traditional old school stuff. A lot of young people weren't feeling, the church services. They weren't necessarily feeling some of the, required worship stuff we had to do in our dorms. And so we started something new every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. And it was like 7:30 at night in the middle of the campus. It was a bell tower. Like some of the, alum from like maybe 50 years ago had built this bell tower right in the middle of the campus. So of course it had the bell and then these seats around, like this stone. And, so I didn't really get an opportunity to speak like that in the beginning. But what happened was, my boys were like stupid involved on campus. Trey was with the choir and a couple other things. Irv was like a student leader. So every blue moon, they would not show up to the event. So I usually emceed, hosted, opened up the door for them, introduced them. And so on a couple of occasions, they didn't make it. So I had to speak. And I remember my first message was like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a sucker? And you had a lot of dudes who weren't really feeling like the religious thing. They weren't feeling sermons. They grew up in church, went to church school, so they just weren't really feeling it. They finally had their freedom in college, so they ain't necessarily had to get down like that. But when I would speak, cats would be like, whoa, like that's different. It's raw. You know what I'm saying? Like it's raw. It's unconventional, but like at the same time, it's hidden. And so it was during that time frame that I realized, like, yo, I got something. Like, I have something that a group of people desire that they want. And then I also ran a GED program in the hood. It was like in our projects, they called them. So it was Norwood, Mason Court, and so I would teach a GD program. But what I would do before we started class is I would read a devotional by Dennis Kimbrough, daily motivation for African American success. And a lot of the students would come. They didn't necessarily stay to learn, but they always came for the motivational moments. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, yo, E, I can't stay. They always have an excuse, but they would come for that motivation. They would come for that fire. And then I started realizing at a young age, I was probably like 20, 21. I started realizing like, yo, I got a different brand of speaking. Like, it's not the traditional boy, but a lot of, I don't know, you call them borderline people, everyday type people. They was feeling my swag. So it was there that I realized like, yo, I got something. And I just realized that I needed to work on it, like, and do it consistently. So I wouldn't, so I wouldn't lose it one, and then I could build on that momentum.
Mm.
Yeah, no doubt.
So E, we on this podcast have been going in on the flight assessment, right?
Okay.
And you have,
my baby.
yeah,
My baby.
you have been like the leader of the flight assessment, but and you've screamed out, I am a flight attendant. This is who I am. I've embraced it. But talk to the people about before the flight assessment. Like, what was an E before the flight assessment, before he realized who like he really was and totally embraced it? Like, what is the difference?
Yeah. So let me just be real with y'all. Okay, so let's look at it like I like to create, imagery, right? So let's just look at it like a car. Before the flight assessment, like it was a fire, brand new car. You could smell the seats. You know what I'm saying? You got me, C, Carl, in the car originally. Me and C originally, then Carl, then we start filling it up, Lashana, you know what I'm saying? Ken, you know what I'm saying? We just start filling it up. Tay. I mean, we just traveling across the country in this car, you know what I'm saying? Stopping at the gas station, filling up, grabbing snacks, seeing the world, I'm talking about invigorating, like, the sunroof open, windows down, music blasting, you know what I'm saying? Like listening to our favorite hits, I'm going old school, they going new school, we got snacks in the car. I mean, we having a blast, but I think when we got the flight assessment, we got a GPS system. We ain't had no GPS system when we first got that joker. You know what I'm saying? We were just driving, getting lost a little bit, definitely on the way, but getting lost a little bit, but with the flight assessment, way more control of the vehicle. I got 2 children. I tell people all the time, if my son drove 80 miles per hour, I wouldn't be tripping. My daughter drove 65, I'd be tripping. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because Bull got a little bit more control when he drive than my daughter. Like she didn't have a lot of control of the vehicle. You feel me? And so when we got the flight assessment, it was like way more clarity, way more focus, way more direction. You know what I'm saying? We were able to execute at a much higher level, So before the excitement, before the flight assessment, invigorating, life-changing, just hype, just all of that. But once we got that flight assessment, way more control, sense of awareness, like I said, way more focus, like way more systematic. Like we went from, as I talk about in the video, just being all over the place to becoming snipers, and it's crazy because when I start something now, I literally begin with the end in mind, and then I reverse engineer and then start taking the steps. Whereas before it was like no steps. It's just like you get in there, push the gas. So we wasted a lot of resources, wasted a lot of time, had a lot of fun, changed a lot of lives, seen a lot of places, and you know what I'm saying? Been around the world, and you know what I'm saying? But with the flight assessment, way more deliberate, way more intentional, way more strategic, and like I said, execute and get way more done. And I just think everybody know their role. So it's like now I might have been driving. CJ wanted to drive. We fighting who want to drive. Carl every blue moon want to drive. Now it's like, yo, we know CJ's supposed to drive. I'm in the passenger seat doing my thing. Carl in the back supporting. You know what I'm saying? So just way more clarity, man. Way more focus, man.
I'm with it. Moose.
Yeah, Doc, talk to the people, man, for those who either have never been introduced to the flight assessment, who have taken it like 10, 15 years ago and have a bias towards it. Like, I already know what I am, right? So talk to us about, maybe in your own words, how would you describe what it is?
Yeah, I don't know if it's about, I know who I am, because had I taken a test, I never even thought about it, Moose, until you just said it. But I mean, you got to think about it. I never took a test or an assessment in isolation. I took it with a gang, with a family. You know what I'm saying? It was a bunch of us. So figuring out, who I am, if I'm the quarterback, if I'm the running back, if I'm the wide receiver, if I'm a linebacker, safety, you know what I'm saying? Figuring that out was important because it's like, we're a family, we're a team. And now it's like, who should be on the bus? Where should we be sitting and what should we be doing? So I would just say, to me, Moose, it's not about you. If anybody's taking it and it's just about them, yeah, that's probably why you took it and didn't get nothing from it. But when you are just trying to discover your world, who are the players in your world? What are the strengths? What are the limitations? Who should be where? Who should be doing what? So we can win this game. You know what I'm saying? So we can win this game called life. So we can get the most out of life. Who am I? Who are my wife? Who's my son, my daughter? Who are the people on my staff? So yeah, if you took it by yourself and it was just about, oh, I'm a this, I'm a that, yeah, it probably, I don't know, because I ain't take it by myself. It's probably whack. But if you're doing it with a family, a group of people that you love, that you care for, and you're trying to make sense of your world, and you're trying to put everybody, in the most effective roles so you can get the most out of them and the most out of life. Yeah, bro, I would say to anybody who don't want to be average good, you want to be great or phenomenal, and you realize that no man or woman is an island, and you want to be a part of a community and you want to contribute. And again, you want to win, and not just win once, but you want to win twice and three times. Like, you want a dynasty, you want to create a legacy. I would say take the assessment. So for me, bro, it's not about just me. Of course, yeah, I'm a flight assessment, like Nicky said. Like, that's what I do. I'm a flight attendant. Like, that's what I do. I'm a people person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love to get involved and engage with people. I like to share my opinions. Like, I'm very emotional, of course, but not on an island. That's in the context of a family, of a team, So yeah, if you taking this joker and it's just about you and it's like a class, of course it's not gonna work. But if you're doing it to explore, to discover, you know what I'm saying, to take your life to the next level, then I would say you got to come back and do this thing again. And this time when you do it, I'm saying, do it right. Don't do it independently or selfishly. Do it in the context of a community or the context of a family.
Powerful.
Powerful.
We're gonna do these horns all day again. So let's talk to the people who may be confused about the flight assessment. Like, all right, I want to know about E and E's brand and everything. So let's bring it back to the basics of you knew you had something special. Like, you're a people person, you had a gift, right? When did you fully embrace that and said, you know what, this could be a thing? Even before the flight assessment and really being able to strategically move in that way, right? But was there a particular day, situation, event that you were like, okay, this isn't bad. Like, me being who I am isn't bad. This is actually going to impact the world. Is there a particular day or situation for that?
So let me say this. I truly believe in all my heart that we all have something, and when people take the test, they'll know what I'm talking about. And what's so crazy, Nikki, is it's only 4 personalities. And of course, combinations, some blends, you feel me? But for the most part, everybody born with that. When you look at ET, you like, yo, ET got that je ne sais quoi. He just got that it. We all got it, y'all. I'm just being real. But here's what happens. Some of us, we recognize it and we foster it. And so for me, fast forward to the flight assessment, all that was me saying, I got to continue to develop what I know I already have. Because it's not one of those things where you find out what you have and you use it and then it's just it. You don't have to develop it no more. It's just like, yo, I found out what I am. I use it. I'm good to go. So it doesn't work like that. And then when you start switching up with different people, you start switching up with different environments, like you get what I'm saying? So that's why you got to keep studying, because I wasn't with Nicky 20 years ago. I wasn't with Moose 20 years ago. I wasn't with Carl 20 years ago. I wasn't with CJ 20 years ago. So the reason why you got to keep studying is because you're getting around new people and you're in new environments. I wasn't no social media when I first started doing this. But let me be real with y'all, because what a lot of y'all don't know is when I first discovered my gift, it was rough because I wasn't in the right environment with my gift. So let me just explain something to you guys. You got to imagine, I went to Oakwood University, which is a unique HBCU. These are kids who come from all over the world, not just America. They come from all over the world, and most of them have gone to, a specific high school, middle school, elementary school their whole life. They've gone to their own schools, and then Oakwood is like the only Black Adventist college in the world. And so these kids come from all over. I'm talking about geniuses, strong in math and science, engineering, like lawyers, doctors, like unbelievable. Some of my friends that I went to school with, they're doing some amazing things. But you have to understand that I came in as a high school dropout. So when I discovered this gift to speak, it was difficult at Oakwood because I didn't have the language they had. I felt inferior. There were some historical language codes, rules they was using. You got to imagine these kids been with each other since they were, 5, 6, 7 years old. And a lot of them went to boarding school together. So imagine they left their parents and they're in a boarding academy together. So they got a relationship out of this world. It's funny, Moose, I never talk about this, but, because these kids went to different schools, one of their, I don't know what you call it, traditions, but at each school, and I think about it now, it's like, yo, bro, it's crazy, but they literally all wore sweaters. So like they had Letterman jackets from high school, but it was sweaters. And so each school had their own different sweater. And so they would rock their sweaters on like a Tuesday, everybody. You feel me? Everybody had on their sweater, bro, like they Richie Rich sweater. You feel me? So it's like the long Letterman sweater, and they had their nicknames on it. They had their school colors. I'm walking around as a high school dropout, bro. I don't got jack. I don't got t-shirt. You feel me? I ain't got a t-shirt. And so just being in that environment around people who took school serious since they was like in kindergarten, I just felt inferior. And so even though I had a gift, I was very apprehensive about using my gift. But let me tell y'all what I did that changed the game for me. We had our saying was enter to learn, depart to serve. So what I would do is go in the hood. And when I was in the hood serving, when I started speaking in the hood, like the hood loved me. You feel me? And it was in that environment that I was like, yo, I got something. So I never really craved, being on a college campus, trying to compete with other people. I actually got strong on campus, off campus. So when I would go into people's homes and talk to them one-on-one, sit on the curves with cats, and we would chop it up at the basketball court, I'd sit on the bench hollering at the little shorties while they was waiting to get in next. And that's where I start honing my gift. Like I ain't hone my gift on stage. I hone my gift on the block. And so for a lot of us, you're going to discover who you are. But I'm telling you, this test is important, but this assessment is important. But what's also important is the environment, right? It's going to show you what environment you thrive in. You know what I'm saying? Who you thrive in with. Like it's going to take the guessing game out. And for a lot of y'all, your biggest problem is you don't know what your purpose is in life. I'm telling you, within a 15-minute, you take 15 minutes to take this, boy, and I promise you, all the little questions you got, they're going to be over. And so for me, I got a chance to be around young people who were doing it. And so me not being as smart as them, but I'm as competitive as them, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the block, so I'm competitive. So I'm seeing them speaking. I started speaking, realized I got something. But again, I felt inferior on the college campus. So I took it off campus. And off campus is where I started to shine. And again, a lot of y'all, you know me as a public speaker, but if you ain't been in a room with me one-on-one, like it's one thing I do on stage. It's something totally I do when I'm sitting across when I'm sitting across the desk from you, like if I'm in a prison and I'm talking to a kid one-on-one or a small group, that's where I really shine. So again, you think the stage is where I shine. That's not where I shine. I shine one-on-one, small groups. Like that's when I can really get intimate. You can feel my heart because I know what my gift is. And my gift ain't speaking. My gift is connecting with humans, with people. Speaking is just it's one of the vehicles for me to do that, but it's not my call and it's not my gift. So yeah, Nikki, I college is where, you know what I'm saying? College is where it's like, yep, got it. Yep, but not on the college campus. I need to take it somewhere else. And when I got in that environment and started just dealing with regular, everyday folks, single parent women who got pregnant, you know, dudes who in and out of prison, people who sell dope, people who was hopeless. Like I felt my, you know what I'm saying? I felt like home court advantage in that joker. So I don't want people to think that I was always confident with this gift. I wasn't. Like I said, on the college campus around all those smart guys, I had I was very intimidated. I was very timid. You know, I was very nervous, almost afraid when I would speak on campus. But again, I took it to an environment where I felt comfortable. And when I felt comfortable in that environment, I know this may sound crazy, Nikki, but being comfortable in that environment allowed me to come back to campus and be comfortable in an environment where I felt uncomfortable. I guess getting my reps in, you know, where I felt comfortable allowed me to be able to speak even in environments where I didn't feel comfortable.
That's good.
Yeah, so we had Carl and CJ on the last two episodes, kind of giving their rendition of, you know, how the company started. Now, I want people to kind of get an update in terms of how you've transitioned the business and the brand through a pandemic, but you also started the company really during the recession in a way. So give us your rendition, or you know, your kind of breeding ground and story from going from Bell Tower Ministries, Oakwood University, to now saying, okay, we're going to go from me to we with a team, a company, a brand, and launching this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, Oakwood, Bell Tower was definitely, you know, me, Irv, Trey. It was about 12 of us, you know. Those were the similarities, but I think the difference between, you know, Bell Tower and then the first recession that we did our work from in this is the assessment, you know, and you know, I think Carl and I started TGIM, you know, and in that process, bro, it was just kind of like I said, it's like you just shooting in the air and you hoping you hit something. And again, don't get me wrong, you could tell from TGIM we did hit some stuff, but if you look guys closely at how we started, and then you begin to look at how we transition, you'll see that a lot of it was just guessing games. It was like, well, you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this term. You're kind of young, but you know, on the job training. You know, that's what it was in the beginning. It was on the job training. It was kind of like, okay, we have an idea, and then we go. Like we didn't have a plan, if that makes sense. We kind of had ideas. We kind of saw the big picture, and then from the big picture, we kind of made our moves. But when you look at this recession, you look at ET, I'm way more intentional and deliberate, way more strategic. It's like, okay, in this recession, we're literally giving the people a sense of direction. You know, like it's like, okay, we got a pandemic going on, people all over the place. You know, we're divided as a nation. So people need to learn how to make better decisions. Right. And so it's like, okay, people are making decisions because of what, and I don't know if this is a word, but you know, COVID-19 fatigue, you know what I'm saying? Or being stuck in the house fatigue. Like people are finally getting to the point where it's like, yo, we thought this was going to be over in 30 days, 60 days. So really giving people an opportunity to say, okay, what should I be doing? So we literally, if you go on our page, not just videos, Nikki, you'll see even our memes now are getting like almost 30,000 hits.
Yep.
Because it's direction. It's telling people like, yo, here's what you shouldn't be doing. Here's what you should be doing. Here's what you should be letting happen. Here's what shouldn't be happening. I think, Moose, we did some research on people, and we're now helping people, you know, also to figure out, yeah, you need to be around people, but what people do you need to be around? You feel what I'm saying? So way more direction. Then there's a pace that we need to go at. We're showing people like, yo, you need a success routine. Like you just can't wake up in the day and just go for it. Like there's a success routine you need. And then the final one is systematic. Again, we're helping people through the assessment find their own system, like find It's like, yo, we do things a certain way, and we're telling you you need to do things a certain way, but we're not going to tell you how you need to do it, what's best for you. But you do need a system. You do need to be a little bit more analytical in these time frames. Why? Because some of the resources we had before, some of the opportunities we had before, we don't have no more, including ET. People think I'm above this COVID situation. I'm not. We not. You remember? I don't know what percent, Nikki, but a large percent of our income came from traveling. It came from. I didn't even know there was such thing as social distancing, but we did 1,000 people, 5,000 people. I spoke to 10,000 people. I did international work. And so all that was taken from me. And so now systematically, it's like, okay, E, those doors are closed, but use a system to figure out what other doors are open and what other ways. So Moose, this pandemic or this particular recession, again, we're way more intentional and deliberate, and we're able to lead people in 4 categories. Whereas before, I'm sure we was taking shots. I'm sure we was hitting something, but we might have been like the old Kobe Kobe was like what, 20 for 55? You feel what I'm saying? 25 for 53. Now we're like, we like 20 for 22, bruh. Like we are way more effective and way more efficient because we're operating in a system and not necessarily operating in what somebody might call, just osmosis, bruh. We just hoping, we just wishing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the assessment, man. The assessment.
Here. So let me piggyback a little bit on that when you brought up the event. So clearly, you being the flight attendant, like events is gone. Talking touching the people is gone, right? Talk to people. I don't like using the word pivot, but that has been the word
That's been
of
the word
the year.
they use. Yeah. Right.
Talk to people about the pivot that you had to make from touching the people physically to now a virtual standpoint. Like, how did that affect you, the brand? Like, just talk to the people about that process.
Well, you know what? I realized by the blessing of this assessment is that for every strength, Nikki, we have a limitation. And so what I wanted to be able to do was say, okay, maybe this is a time to address those limitations, you know? So I'll give you an example. I do go to bed, and wake up kind of early. I don't get a lot of rest. I do grind quite a bit. So I kind of looked at this season as, okay, well, maybe this is the season to do the opposite. Since the opportunity to travel isn't there, maybe this is the time to get a little bit more rest. Maybe this is the time to be a little bit more strategic. Maybe this is the time to have way more planning sessions and thinking things through and being more systematic than you've ever been before. So that's number one. That was the first thing I thought about, was like, okay, just because these doors are closing for you, which ones are open? Number two, I felt like I got closer to the staff. I had way more time to like get on the phone, make phone calls, way more time to Zoom, way more time like to build us, because we know the doors are going to open up again. But the question is, are we going to be the same version of ourselves that we were before the doors closed, or are we going to be a greater version of ourselves when the doors open? So for me, it was like, yo, there are opportunities. It may not be the ones that you're accustomed to or the ones that you prefer, but during this time frame of pivoting, like look at the areas that and I don't know if this makes sense, guys, but it's almost a situation like, let's look at Kobe, for instance. You remember when Kobe broke his leg?
Mm-hmm.
And when Kobe trained, he was actually building that leg up. But what he wasn't doing was building the other one. And so what happens is once he started playing again, he actually ended up injuring the leg that he didn't even injure in the first place, because he had put so much on the one. And so I figured, Nikki, like, yo, E, you've been putting a lot of emphasis on one side of your strength. You need to look at the other side that you have not been really focusing on, which again is rest, which is reading and studying, which is planning and developing, which is strategizing. Those are the things you weren't doing. And then there's the other thing too, Nikki, like really going, okay, I hope this makes sense. Like same relationships, but more depth than width.
Right.
You know, because when we was on the road before, we would see each other a lot, but we was moving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we'd be in the city, like we'd be working 2 days out of that, and then we might hook up maybe at the end of the event. And even with that, you're talking about a whole room full of people trying to catch up with each other. Now, it wasn't that it was bad, but the reality is now I can go deep. Now I can spend some quality time. You know, Moose and I, the last couple of weeks, I think maybe on Friday, we spent maybe 15, 20 minutes not talking about business, just chopping it up on I never did that, Nicky. I ain't had no time for that.
Right.
I had no time to sit down and talk about life. You move. I wouldn't even know he moved. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, I wouldn't even know. Like, oh, you moved? It'd be like a year later. Oh, I heard you moved. Yeah, I did. Like, I wouldn't have known that, you know. So now I'm getting an opportunity to really sit down, study all of the preferences. And now when I'm dealing with my staff and dealing with, you know, everybody else, you know, it's like I know how to approach them differently now because the assessment shows me whatever. I just never had time to do that before. I knew how important it was. I knew how critical it was to know Nicky's language, to know Moose's language. I just didn't have time to do it. You know, or let me say this. I didn't make time when things were just going phenomenal for us. But as we've had to pull back from the travel, now I'm getting an opportunity to strengthen parts of us and divisions of us that are critical that I just never made time to before.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
that's good. That's lessons.
Yeah.
That's lessons.
Sure, for sure. Doc, I've had
And both. I'm sorry, Moose. I believe when we do come back together, this is just my belief. I believe we're gonna be way stronger and better. And also, I don't know if y'all did this, but I didn't know I was doing this, but I literally took a lot of stuff for granted.
Yes.
I mean, we was on the road every, 2-3 times. I mean, personally, I was on the road probably about 15 times you know what I'm saying, 10, 15 times a week. I mean, a month.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as a group, we were together. I mean, come on, y'all, between the flight assessment, between us doing it at the property, people coming in to get trained, either our coaches that are veterans or our new trainees that were coming to the facility to get one-on-one, in-person training, whether it was church events, whether it was on the road, whether it was podcast, like we was together all day, every day.
Yeah.
Right.
You feel me? And I took for granted that, we just gonna be able to get on the road, come spend time together, chop it up, eat, go to see what did we go see? Harriet Tubman together. Like I just took for granted. We in the theater, we done bought the theater out, we in there chilling. I took all that for granted. And so once we get back to the road, I promise you, it's gonna be like eating the last bowl of cereal, the last Captain Crunch, the last Captain Crunch in the building, So I'm looking forward though to getting back. I'm not gonna lie, I'm at fatigue right now. It's just been literally me and my wife, literally Jada's coming in a couple of days, but for the Christmas holiday. But it's just been literally me and my wife. And while I enjoy it, it's just never been even Thanksgiving. It was just me and her. That's never happened before. So it's getting a little, it's getting a little hectic, but hopefully we'll be out of this thing in about another 4-5 months.
Hopefully sooner. Sheesh.
Yeah.
For real.
Hopefully,
it's like a flight attendant's worst
May.
nightmare.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Man, Doc, I've had both the blessing and the privilege to co-create programs with you, to sit in on certain trainings or share certain frameworks within trainings. And I think the one part that we really discovered, or at least that I've noticed through what you do, is how much of the success journey being an inside-out process. So while we talk a lot about the flight assessment and how it helps you to discover your purpose, find your strengths, do a lot of things, like you said, nurture that process, we also learned that we're not naive of the limitations.
Absolutely.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about this season, how you're starting to kind of be more mindful of the limitations and how that inside, like we talk about inside out process, how you taking care of the limitations on the inside is now helping you to see success externally on a whole new level?
I think one of the most frustrating things about success is building, man, and then you being the same person that tear it down. You
Wow.
know, it's so frustrating, man, to have this superpower. I remember the movie Hancock, where Will Smith was, a character, and my man was superpower phenomenal, but he just had, what I'm saying, he just couldn't get it together. You know what I'm saying? And would be doing some dumb, stupid, destructive stuff. Think about the movie The Incredibles, the cartoon animated boy, The Incredibles. Like The Incredibles would be doing phenomenal stuff, but then some rookie Incredibles, would mess up, And so I think I've been so moved by the pursuit of perfection, not perfection, because we'll never get there, but the pursuit of perfection. And I hate building something up and then being the same person that tear it down. And I realize when you don't address your limitations, that's what you do. On this side, you may build something up, but then you're the same person that tear that thing down. And I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that, of course, I'm not going to be perfect and I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to own those mistakes, but I don't want to tear down what we built up. And you see so many ministries and so many individuals, who build stuff and tear down, or you find communities that build together, but then once they get to the height of success, they divide, they separate. It's like they built it together, but they can't keep it together. And I don't want to be that guy, man. I don't want to be the guy that we build all this great stuff, but success divides us. That people now start having, this self-ambition, and these self-goals. And there's nothing wrong with having individual goals and wanting to accomplish something meaningful within your space. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes about you, when we built it, I just don't want that, bro. So those are the two things. I want to continue to build up and keep building, and I want to keep building together. Like, I don't want to look up and it's like, yo, we've been together for 3 years. Oh, we've been together for 5. You know what I'm saying? But we've been together for, like, I want to be like, yo, 15, 20. Like, I really enjoy being able to say this company has been in existence this long, and these people came this year, and this is the anniversary, if that makes sense. You feel me? Like, this is this person's anniversary. Not, or we had to get a brand new videographer, or we had to get a brand new, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not interested in that, bro. Like, I want to build with the people that we built with at whatever stage, and I want to keep building with those people. And that's what the assessment allows me to do. It allows me to go, AE, these are the things that you do well that are going to attract people to you. These are the things that you do that are going to make the same people who love you despise you. Be cautious of these. And then there's some things that you can't, how do I say this? There's certain things you can't stop from happening if you wanted to, Moose. But what you do now is you compliment yourself by bringing a person in your sphere of influence who does not have that limitation. So instead of building a whole bunch of people who think like me, act like me, and have my preference, a part of my success is not only attracting people who are like me, it's also attracting people who are not like me because they have strengths that I don't have, if that makes sense.
That's good. Yeah.
Another one.
Okay, so there are a lot of people who listen to this and watch this who have a brand and is at a point of building a team, right? Now, we've been screaming to death the flight assessment, but when you started building your team, you didn't have that.
Right.
If you could do it again, with the flight assessment, what type of person would you hire first?
Air traffic control.
Break that down.
Air traffic control, no doubt. Air traffic control, because no general contractor begins building a building without an engineer. That engineer is going to get them a blueprint.
First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Break that down.
Yeah. So no general contractor, even though he is the lead of the project, right? He or she is the lead of the project. It is what it is. They are the contractor. You know what I'm saying? They manage that whole site, the project. They manage everything.
Right.
But prior to them being able to get started and do their job, they need an engineer who can take their big vision and put that vision on paper, write the vision, make it plain. Because people can't begin to support you in your big vision without seeing it on paper, without seeing the steps. People need steps. So if I'm going to build a 13-story high rising, like I need to know the dimensions of every room, or the dimensions of every aspect. I need to know wall. It's just a lot that I need to know. I got to bring in different individuals to help support this, whether it be the bricklayers, whether it be the city, the licensing. Like, it's a lot of players involved.
Right.
So without that document, we can't move forward. I was looking at Thanksgiving, and they were showing all the planes. I think, Moose, it was probably over 10,000 planes in the sky. When I tell you that image was like, whoa, well, you can't send 10,000 plus pilots and co-pilots in the earth without a plan or a system. 10,000 people, they'd kill themselves. Everybody be running into each other. So you need an air traffic control to say, yo, guys, 10,000, we good. We're going to send all 10,000, but you need to know what time to take off. You need to know what time to land. You need to know how to fly. You need to know which direction to go. Not only do you have to get to your destination, we have to make sure that the other 10,000 planes that are also trying to get to their destination don't crash into one another. So now, knowing what I know about the flight assessment, it must start with an air traffic control. And that was the one thing we didn't have. So there was no way for us to measure or quantify what type of success we were having, if we were having any success, or measure where we measure our growth, or whatever. I don't know what is the opposite of not growth is, but whatever that is, we needed to be able to measure. And we weren't measuring anything. So we kept making the same mistakes, or we kept getting the same success without, without knowing what that success was. So yeah. We could do it all over again. Grateful for CJ and his leadership, but C needed a blueprint, a plan for his leadership, if that makes sense.
That's good. Moose, can we acknowledge that he doesn't know the opposite of growth because he's done so much of it that he does not. He's like, growth. Whatever the other thing of growth isn't,
whatever that is.
Yeah, but I've never experienced it, but that thing.
Whatever that is.
I love it. So yeah, whatever that is, I don't even know.
Right.
Yeah. I forgot about that. It's been a minute.
Thanks.
We all strive to be there. That's good. Yeah, Doc, on that same breath of team, talk to us about the balance of power that happens, because I think one of the things that people may struggle with is, well, I'm the idea person, or I'm the driver. What do you mean I got to start with the air traffic control, or any of those things, right? What's the balance of power so that we can avoid those things that create division, right? Like you said, ego, animosity, jealousy, individualism. What's the balance of power that protects that so that people can build for the long term?
The balance of power is what protects that. The balance of power. Understanding that no one human has been designed to do it all. It doesn't make sense. There's no team. Kobe Bryant, okay, yeah, he scored 80-some points, but somebody else scored some points too. Somebody else got some rebounds, and somebody else had to defend somebody, and somebody else got assists, and somebody else got some steals. It wasn't those 82 points alone that won the game for them. It was his 82 with the collaboration of the other team members, whatever they did on defense, offense, whatever they did, however they contributed before, after the game, during the game, even if they didn't play and you were cheerleading on the sideline and you were giving people energy, that's all a part of what it took to successfully, win that game. And so, everybody has to understand that with your strengths comes a corresponding limitation. And with your strength alone is not enough to get what needs to get done. It's just not enough. You by yourself is not enough, if that makes sense. E.T. speaking, man, I tell people all the time, like, again, I say this, much respect to CJ. But if Carl wasn't physically cutting and editing and posting those videos up on social media, bro, nobody would know who we are today. There was an E.T. before Carl. And that ET to me was just as powerful, if not powerful, in terms of messages, but nobody got them. They never went out to the world. Nobody recorded. Nobody put it up. So you feel what I'm saying? So yeah, you could say, oh, ET, undisputed, #1 motivational speaker in the world. Okay, that's cool. But without Carl, nobody knows who Eric is. And without Carl, nobody knows, how do I say this? Nobody can keep going back to the messages. Like when I grew up, if I would speak back when I was 20, 21, you hear the message live. That's pretty much it. You might can get an audio cassette tape, but bruh, cassette tape's not durable like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna be able to keep up with that forever. Carl put that sucker on the World Wide Web, and now whenever you want to, you can keep going back and watching. When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Carl.
Shout out to Carl. Shout out
Yeah.
to Carl. E, you've been doing this for a few years. Just quite a few,
It's a few.
right? I think a lot of people want to know what keeps you going. Like why are you still grinding? You have been titled the undisputed motivational speaker of the world. Financially you're good, family's good, everything like that. You're now in a brand new house and all that great stuff. What keeps you with the grind? Like you're still waking up at 3. You're still, we're doing multiple certifications. We're doing, still doing the events. So almost now every month, almost the same schedule as if it was live. Like what is that thing?
It was a flight attendant. I don't get on a plane to go on a trip. As a flight attendant, I get on the plane to make sure those who are headed to a certain destination have the most pleasant experience. Like that's what I do. And so I think with the flight assessment, we're actually helping more people with their experience than ever before, which is why I'm excited because like I said before, we were doing our thing randomly, but now we have a system that we know if people plug into that system, they're going to get the same success that we're getting. So in terms of I eat, I sleep, I breathe people's experience. I don't want people to be in toxic relationships. Like I don't want people to be mentally and emotionally unhealthy. I don't want people to be broke. I don't want people to have a bad credit score. Like my job is your experience. Like I've been put on this earth to make sure that you're not just on the earth, that you don't just have life, but you have it more abundantly. Like that's what I'm here for. Like your experience. That's what I do. I literally get on the plane to make sure that when you get in your seat and you're headed to your destination, that it is the most pleasant experience that you'll ever have. Like that's and so again, with this assessment, I'm able to do it in a way that I've never been able to do it before, and so it's not about my house. It's not about my career. It's not about my bank account. I was literally put on this earth to live it so that you can know it's possible and then show you how I did it, and so with these platforms, even with this platform, you guys are using it to really entice people and help people to understand and persuade people like, yo, you need to take this. Like when people ask me, what book you read? I'm saying you should be taking the assessment and read the book of me. And what does that mean? Like you should be reading about you and learning about you. Why are you studying other people so much? Like when are you going to study yourself and get to know you so that you can have more control of you, your gifts, your life, your decision-making, just everything you do. So that's why I do it, because I was called to make sure that everybody has a phenomenal experience that comes into our presence. If you don't fly with us, I can't, what I'm saying, I can't help you if you don't fly with us. But if you fly with us, then we're going to make sure that you have the best experience while you're here, on this earth. And that's what moves me. Yo, did we do the videos, Nikki? Did the videos get out? Did the videos get out right? Was the font right? Why? Because everything affects people's experience. And I just want to make sure that while we're on this earth, that they have the best experiences ever. And with you guys' support, especially Beast Mode Digital, we're going to be in a position where even when I leave this earth, we'll still have content to be able to give the people the experience that they were able to get, their parents or grandparents while I was physically here on earth. So I guess for me too, I'm racing against time. Like, yo, I don't know how many more years I have. So I want to be able to put out the most purest, the best content. So in my absence, people could still get that same energy that you guys have preserved, crystallized and memorialized through the digital platform.
Another one.
Yeah, Doc, bring us home, man. I mean, it's been a phenomenal episode. Just kind of listening, and what I always admire most is your progression, man. It's like I always just think like, yeah, there's no way he can get any better, and there's always you figure out some way somehow to look for the next opportunity, to figure the next area of growth. So I can advance a little bit here, and I realized that at your level, like just a 1% improvement can make a radical shift. So bring us home with, what's next, what's entail, what does the vision entail, for this next year, and close us out.
Yeah, I think what's next, and this may sound weird, what's next is focusing more on the micro and less on the macro. I think as I go into 2021, I need to do a better job of taking the same energy, the same resources that I would give to the world and give to the team. I think sometimes because the team is with me, that they're moving with me and everybody's not moving the same way. And I think with the systems now that we have, if we could get our staff tight work, then our staff could double the work or triple the work that we're doing. Like, just think about if our staff right now, you got some 1%ers, some 20-something percenters, some 60-something percenters. We can get everybody to be 2%ers or 3%ers. You know what I'm saying? Collectively, just think about how much more we're going to be able to do on the earth. So I think I want to shift my focus from macro to micro and spend more time doing the same thing I do for the world, doing that for our family, our team, the ETA family, and I just feel like if I put more time into helping them grow, then when they actually do the work that they do, they're going to do it at a different level they've ever been able to do it before. So that's my focus for this year, really working with leaders, working with the people that work with the people, as opposed to just worrying about the experience of the people. Now I want to train and develop people who work with people, if that makes sense. I want to work with the leaders that work with the people.
Good.
Moose, can I ask one more question?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
You've been a words person for a bit. And for 2021, what is going to be your word?
Yeah, so decisive. I realize that only 12% of the world naturally understands the importance of that word and how critical that word is. And 88% kind of shy away from it. But the reality is you will have limited success in your life if you're not decisive. And again, I'm not trying to bully you into being decisive over a specific thing. But what I am saying is you really do need to determine what is it that you are here for. What are you on this earth for? What are you called to do? What are you going to do? And I mean Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm not talking about over a 50-year. Like, what you gonna do today? And you really need to decide, what am I going to do today? So I'm gonna help people this year through words, because words are powerful. Words either break us or heal us. Words determine our mental and emotional wellness. Words determine what type of success we have or we don't have, what type of health or sickness we have. Like, words are the most powerful thing. I mean, you think about, Moose, if you speak a different language than me and I don't know the language you speak, we can't even communicate. Like, we can't even have a relationship. This is how powerful words are. So we need to do a better job of using our words to guide our lives. And so this year is like, yo, I don't care who you are. You need to be decisive. Like, you need to set a course and stick to that doggone course, right? And so that's my word for myself, my word for you. I was fortunate, and hopefully for those of you who are listening, you still have time, or if you're live, you still have time because we record. But the last session that we did for the Rebuild series, Future, like Anthony Flynn, who is by nature decisive, is going to help you. He helped me. He helped the team. And this is deep, y'all, because I believe we're seeing another level of success because I'm being decisive. And then I bring my team with me to see what I'm going to be decisive about in 2021. once they understand what I'm going to be decisive about, 2 years ago it was about being inspiring. I wanted to be the most inspiring person in the world. And as a result of that, Nikki was like, well, if that's what's going to happen, you're going to have to decide, even though you don't like to, you're going to have to decide to do these things, right? And look at me, I'm in my office. Like, I've had to make a decision to get an office, to set the computer up myself, to set the camera up. You know, and when I say by myself, of course, Nikki and them are walking me through it, but they're not here to help me like they were before. You know, I got my light right here. Like, guys, I had to be decisive. Like, yo, E, if you're going to survive in this Zoom world, that maybe before you didn't have to be a digital dude, but you're gonna have to be a digital dude now. So I just had to make some decisions. So a lot of you, your challenge is you're not being decisive. You're not setting a course and sticking to that. And I'm gonna help you this year. So make sure if you get the replay of Rebuild, it's not, if you're watching this and we're not in 2021 yet, you still have a chance to do it.
Rebuildseries.com. Rebuildseries.com.
Future, you want all of them, but Future is the one I'm talking about right now in terms of we use all of December to get decisive, to not be all over the place, but to decide what we were going to focus on, and then we can't switch it up, and we're going to move on that, you know, in 2021. So, yep, that's it. That's it, man. Thank you guys, man. This has been, you know, anytime I do this, I have to listen to myself. I have to think. I have to reflect. And so, yeah, there's some things I said I was going to do. I'd like to listen to this 6 months later and see if I actually, you know, did what I said. So let's have a watch party, you know, maybe at the end of the third quarter. Let's have a watch party, go over this again, and let's talk about the stuff that we talked about and see how far we've gotten somewhere in between March and April.
But can we talk about how crispy you look? I just want to acknowledge like I said,
it took a minute to get there, but we got there for y'all. You know
all my podcast audio people, I need you real quick to just click on YouTube and see how crispy he's, like, even with the background. And I shout out to Iconics with the canvas and everything like that, but crispy. I don't know any other motivational speaker that's looking this crispy. But that's just, you know, that's just me and my opinion. But
and you have an opinion.
You know, one or two of those. One or two.
You have an opinion.
First off, announcements. Listen, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Right, Moose? We got a new time. Yep. I got to remember this new time. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central, sometime West Coast, because I can never remember it. Facebook Live, me and Moose are always on there to talk to the people, give you a preview of what's new, and kind of talk about teamwork, trending topics, all that great stuff. Facebook.com/Nicky and Moose, and follow us everywhere. Nicky and Moose on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. YouTube, y'all know what I mean. But E, thank you so much for being on. We wanted a full-blown episode about the flight assessment from the person himself, as well as a look inside the brand. So we had to get Carl and see, but we definitely wanted you on for the 10th. This is episode 10. Celebration. Even numbers, and we had to get E on. So thank you, E, for being on. Moose.
When you say 10, like, you guys only did 10 episodes altogether?
Of the podcast.
On the audio,
Yeah, of the podcast. Wow. So we had the Facebook Live show going on to build the audience.
You know what I'm talking about, though, when you had the countdown and all the bells and whistles, the J-Lo, the Rick Ross.
Yeah, okay. That's the Facebook Live joint.
All right. I love it. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, man. I catch them, man. I like to just see the crispiness of them. It's just like, them joints crispy. You know what I'm saying? So, and then just the innovative look at people that we admire, you know what I'm saying, and breaking their lives down, not just so we could be breaking their lives down like on some gossip and stuff, but on some empowerment stuff, like really making the connection between, I got the same skill set that person has. Man, I could be doing more. So I really do love the commentary. It's how you guys break that down. There's just so much garbage in the world right now. to see something that is elevating, life changing, empowering. Y'all know me, man. I can't stand garbage, and it's not because I'm like, I think I'm better than you. It's just like I know garbage in, garbage out. You put positive stuff in, positive stuff gonna come out. So yeah, super proud of y'all. And I just want people to know this is what it's about. Like you join a family and you join at one level, and then you gotta take it to another level. And you gotta contribute and add, and you guys are really making the brand look phenomenal. So keep doing what you're doing. And hey, at least get me on once or twice a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't forget about your boy.
Oh, we got you.
Hey.
We received that cosign though. We received that
Facts.
cosign. That was you know what I'm saying? That was a nice little cosign
Listen,
right there.
you heard him. He's
Truth.
coming
From my
once or
heart.
twice a year. Once or twice a year to the podcast,
Yeah.
people. Somebody hold them to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Doc, you do the honors, man. You do the honors. Final words. Close us out.
Your final words is, I don't know how much life you got left, but live the rest of it. No drama, no, nothing toxic. Like you control you. So you owe it to you to get yourself the best life you could possibly have. So again, as I always say, small steps, great distances, and make the rest of your life the best of your life.